Hello friends, just a quick update for June. Summer's in full swing here, as you can see by this hummingbird that's enjoying the fruits of our garden. Been a busy one for me. I've been away from home a lot, but I've also got a lot done, so been using the evenings after long days to get things up and done. And here are some 15mm Union troops that I've just finished. These were donated to me by my friend Dave, and they were based for some weird system, so you will have seen some of these before. I'm just in rebase mode with these right now. I'm rebasing them for Fire and Fury. Those are the bases that I have, and I quite like the basing scheme, so I've just been getting these done kind of on the side whenever I have some spare moments. I have no intention of repainting the figures or washing them or anything like that to give them more definition. I sort of want to keep them in this style, in honor of the original painter. He did a fantastic job, but they definitely have a sort of period feel to them. All I've done really is put them on new bases and applied my standard basing system to them, and that now brings up the Union Army to something a little bit more sizable. I have a few more of these bases to do, and then of just regular sort of Union looking blokes, and then I'm going to move on to the artillery, and then that'll be the Union done. I don't have any cavalry for them just yet, but I'm not too fussed right now. It's not a priority. This is more just a sort of get it done and get it on the shelf thing, so I can call it finished, and sort of it gets out of the job queue, so to speak. So yeah, I've been having a good time. Just a kind of light but a sort of fine grit, quick dark brown, sort of yellowy kind of dry brush, followed by a kind of bone colored dry brush, and then I just use green flock, sort of a la 90s Games Workshop, for the ground cover, and I think it's a pleasing effect at 15mm. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, so that's that done. I've just been kind of in the mode of going through what's on the shelves in the downstairs and sort of picking stuff that looks kind of it's at the crest of getting done, and sort of prioritizing that, because it's a nice way to, in these months where I'm out and about and I'm spending a lot of time in the garden doing kind of work in there, or I'm on the road a lot, it's a way for me to sort of make meaningful progress. So I still get the dopamine hit, but I can get a lot done in like an hour or two, maybe in the morning and the evening, an hour in the morning, hour in the evening, before my day starts and after my day ends, kind of thing. And then there was also some other bases. These are the first Pennsylvania or second Pennsylvania Reserves, which are the guys in blue, and the Boston Rifles, which were just done as a single base. I had some thinking about these Fire and Fury base sizes. They can also work for bloody big battles, so that's another option that I can use them for. They're relatively kind of innocuous as a base size. There's nothing fancy going on there, so they're quite versatile in that regard. So again, bloody big battles might be something I want to play them with. It just depends on the scale of the game, really. And then of course we have the War Between the States rules. I think that's what it's called. That's coming from Decisive War Games Design, probably next year at this point, I think. But that's another rule set that I favor when it comes to American Civil War, anything kind of mid-19th century. It's very influenced by Fire and Fury, and shares similarities with bloody big battles, I think. There's a lot of common DNA there in terms of game design. So anyway, again, just got these done. These were also donated by Dave. You can tell by the painting style and the sort of way the color falls. It adds a nice splash of color to the Union, which is generally just the same tone of blue across the board. It's nice to have something that breaks things up a little bit. The figures are from the 70s or 80s, I think. Probably minifigs, I guess. I don't know for sure, but if anyone else there with a sharp eye can tell me what they are, yeah, please do chuck it in the comments below. But yeah, that was just a small little addition. And then we move on to something a bit more that I've had more impact in. This is a Numidian elephant. So the figures are from Essex Miniatures. The Mahout and the Huda and the actual elephant are from the Carthaginian range, and then I've taken some Numidian javelin men and I've used them as sort of guys on the base, and then also the dudes in the Huda as well, so the Howdah. So I've just took some sort of skirmishy types, bent their arms a little bit so they fit better in the little kind of vestibule on the back, and I think it's come out quite nice. This is the elephant that I have for my Numidian 15mm army. Again, Numidians are one of those things that I can just absolutely tear through a bunch of them kind of while doing other things. So 28mm tends to occupy me a lot more just in terms of time. 15mm I'm able to get a lot more done more quickly, which is one of the reasons I like it as a scale. Painting wise, I stuck with my usual palette for the Numidians, but I decided because an elephant would be a kind of prestige item, I did the blanket with a sort of white, and then I used a sort of Berber symbol. It looks a bit naff, but it's just free-handed on the side. I decided to do that instead of the sort of more Punic symbol, which you see on some of the shields, just to kind of make it clear that this is Numidian. And then I added a flash of color with the blues and the reds and the kind of light blue trim at the top of the tower. Again, just to give it a bit more visual interest and a bit of a focal point, along with the cloth. The Numidian javelin men are pretty bland, as you would expect. Again, I varied the cloth colors. I know everyone kind of tends to paint them in sort of unbleached linen, bleached linen, but I just decided, as with the rest of my army, that I'm going to give them a bit of a kind of color drift, just so that things are a little bit more interesting to look at and obviously interesting to paint. Nothing really to say here beyond this is a relatively standard kind of output there. I think I've basically done most of the Numidians that I have right now. I think I may have a few more cavalry to finish off, and then we would be into extra time essentially with some Numidians that were left over from the Carthaginian pack that I bought from Essex. But I do like Essex figures, very nice and good price. And then the last thing is a 28mm Pike and Shot regiment. These are Warlord Games plastic figures, with the exception of one of the standard bearers, one of the ensigns who's holding the flag with two hands. That's an Old Glory pikeman that I sculpted a sash onto, which hopefully you'll see when you look at detail. I've done this as Charles Gerard's regiment of foot. They fought at Croppedy. That's near where I lived in the UK, so I'm kind of picking units from that battle. I've just based them on 60x60 bases, which then join 3 together to make the unit, the wings, and then the pike in the middle. I added some flowers for a bit of visual interest, and then I used various blues for the coat colors. Apologies for the poor lighting in this. I realize it doesn't look all that great, but I think the effect at distance is what matters, less so than the particular details. Wasn't overly happy with the drummer, the drum particularly. I think I chose bad colors for that. Nothing really pops there, so that's a lesson learned, but I'm not going back and fixing it. The flag is from Flags of War. They make really nice flags. I had this done basically. I was just waiting for the flag to turn up, and that turned up after like a week or so, which is really great considering where I live. Here's a close-up shot, so you can see the sash on the left there that I did, the more dark purpley red one. There was just a bit of green stuff, and I'm not really much of a sculptor, but I gave it the old college try, as they say. And then I just try to make the colors kind of shift around a bit, so different blues, some common blues, lots of other colors to just kind of create some visual interest and make things look a bit more haphazard. And the reason I did this was that we played a bunch of Pike and Shot type era games recently at the club, and I know I moaned about these a while back and said I was going to use them for that skirmish game, but I've just decided to not do that and contribute some units of Pike and Shot and horse instead. So I had a really good time. Knocked these out in no time. Pretty record time, to be honest. High motivation. Anyway, that's all there is for June. There's some other stuff that's just about done. Here's some video of my dogs having a great time at the park, in the wilderness park. So you can see the little one hopping in the long grass there. Anyway, as I say, I've not been spending a lot of time at the painting desk, but I've been trying to maximize the time that I have spent there to make sure that I'm, getting my money's worth, so to speak, from when I'm sat there and limited time that I do have. Anyway, I just want to thank you all for watching as usual, and take it easy, and I hope that you're having a great time wherever it is that you are.